Welcome back. So today we're back on the truck. So as you see, I have it up off the ground. I do that all the time when it sits on my workbench. I won't let it sit overnight on the wheels just because it'll put flat spots in it. So let's see. We are going to do a little parts unboxing because I had something show up. I'm still waiting on a couple other parts to complete this project so that we can get the big block in there and we can get this XLX2 into this ESC. Now, I'm going to give a little shout out in this video to another YouTuber because I saw this part on his channel, Driftomaniacs. I saw him do this install, and so I did a search for this mount and I found it up on eBay. Little did I know that the YouTuber who installed this is Driftomaniac, who installed this. He actually makes this, and it's up on eBay. Right there. Driftomaniacs. So I'm going to link the eBay link in the description down below. If this is something you guys want to get to mount up your XLX2 into an infraction, a felony, it won't fit a limitless just because of the lid. And that's, I was trying to explain this to people that that you can't put it into a limitless easily. Now you can move things around and Velcro it to the side. I mean, this is a big ESC, and I don't think, unless you have one in your hands, you know, it's hard to imagine where to place this thing. I had trouble with the original XLX mounting it into a limitless, and I have put a Coke can motor with a Mamba Monster X8S when they came out with that, which was a lot easier. Now, when I did my original build, I used TP 4070, which was a long can, so I flipped the mount around, and then I mounted an XLX in there, which is a pretty long receiver, but it's skinny. So I had a lot of choices on where to put it. This thing is fatter, taller, and just all around big. This thing is just massive. And I think that's with this, it's basically all a big heat sink. And there's no caps on this. There's no capacitors. Where the XLX, the original XLX, basically is small with a bunch of capacitors hanging off of it to protect it. So cooling was an issue. This thing with this aluminum base and the shape and the construction of this, kind of like they went to on the Mamba Monster X8S and the Mamba Monster X6S, when they came out with this casting design castle, it really changed the game on ESCs. So I saw this this mount, and this is what it comes with. He actually made me up some extension wires, so, which is pretty cool. You can get him to make these up for you. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, you're probably going to need some extension wires. Let me make you up some." So shout out to Driftomaniac for doing that, because I would have never known. I would have made them up myself if I had to, but I felt that these wires were pretty long to get to it, but thinking about it, since it's going up, could be an issue. I might need some extension wires. That's going to come in handy. But here's the plate. So you can tell it's trimmed nice, countersunk. Screws are here. The spacers to space it up are all here. So this is going to be a pretty cool install. So I'm going to do that install real quick. We're going to see how well it works and see if we can tuck it underneath this low profile body here. We know it'll fit into a V2 infraction or a felony. He did it on a felony, and I feel that this is a little higher. So let's get to wrenching. I really thought it was a pretty cool design. Now, he gave me some notations on the eBay when I ordered this. I had no idea that the seller on eBay was Driftomaniac. So shout out to him to reaching out and let me know that it was him, because the name was different. So I didn't catch it. But I think it's pretty cool that he made up this little plate, and it just, for the cost, it makes your life easier. So there's no instructions with it. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And if you want, go check out his video on it. All we're going to do is remove these 4 screws. Now, way back, I want to say about 2 years ago, EMP Performance, we did a motor mount with a plate and raised it up for the XLX, and that's where I originally installed it, I should say. But I realized that at that time that it didn't work in the Limitless, so it didn't really take off. But the size of this ESC, I mean, you know, you need it. So 4 screws, 4 spacers. The amount's going to go just like this. We're going to lose this ESC just because I don't need it there. The only reason. And I believe my big block motor mount adapter, I think, is going to be here. I'm hoping this week. I mean, I've had this stuff on order a while now. So we're going to pop all this stuff off that we just don't need here. Very easy to do. That's going to get that stuff out of there. There is a bracket and a screw down here that we're going to pop off. Get that out of my way, and then I'm going to put this bracket and screw back in for future wires. Now on the receiver, when I open this thing up, I just leave the screws there. I don't take the screws out. And then you can just slip the lid out with your screws in it. And we're going to pop this ESC signal wire out of here and keep the orientation correct. So black is going to go to the outside. There we go. ESC is out. So I'm going to pop this cover back on for now, just so it keeps everything clean and I don't lose hardware. You don't have to crank it down. I just want all the bolts where they belong. It just helps keep all my builds together. And then I usually take the screws that I've taken out until I'm done with the project. I'll just stick the screws back in where they go, because you never know when you're going to have to use them. Now I'll probably cut this ESC box, receiver box, and steering servo box. I'm going to cut this down and remove a battery tray to get the motor in over here, but that's going to be a separate video. So I'll show you guys how to trim this down, because all we need is the box and the mount for the steering servo. We don't need all this plastic stuff here. So now that I got that done, which we're going to go ahead and mount our plate like this. And then with that, by doing that, you're definitely going to have to leave access to these 4 bolts, and you'll have to take off the ESC anytime you want to get this brace out of your way. So he provides the hardware, and as you see, it's countersunk way in there. It's a big countersunk thing for that little bolt, but so you figure you're going to do 4 bolts and 4 spacers, and you can mount it to whichever side you're going to want to go. Now for me, we're going to mount it this way, just because the receiver's over here. You could flip it around when you flip this and put it on this side to help balance out your RC. And then the spacers. So 4 spacers right in the bottom of the plate. And then a balancing act to get it all in here. At least that's the way I'm doing it. Oh, I think I just dropped one of the spacers. And my needle nose is not there. I'll start a couple of them. There we go, nice and secure. Now here's the tricky part, which way to mount this. So you have your battery lead, you have your ESC stuff, you have your switch, and then you have your sensor wire, which is kind of unique. They put the sensor wire down in there instead of having a little harness come off. So now he said to make sure I leave access to these 4 screws. So theoretically, you could mount it this way. You know what I mean? And then we could run all these into the box, but then that puts our battery here. So we'll have to, and this is going to have to be split off for 2 packs, because 8S and 6S. So, but I have a little trick. Normally, I would, to make this secure, I would use black ATV silicone, put it here, and then silicone this thing to the plate, and then it'll be permanently on there. I'm going to use my Sure-Lock, True Lock, whatever it's called, by 3M. So I'm going to use that so I can mount it this way. So I'm going to just do a quick little mock-up, and you see these will go right into the motor here on the side, but that leaves this whole mess over here like this, so we can clean it up and run it right into the box like that. And then this gives plenty of room right to our batteries. And I believe in this location, the lid's going to fit on pretty good. And then that's going to keep any mess from hanging out. So before I'm going to mount that thing down, get my wires tucked in here. I just want to make sure that I have room. For all this stuff. Underneath this body. So there we go. Now it's right against this back window, which will be pretty good. And I think we're still high enough to double stack batteries over here. So I think that's the route I'm going to go. It clears perfectly under that body. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some Sherlock down. True Lock, Sherlock. I keep forgetting what this stuff is called. Wet or dry. It's a plastic lock. I don't know. I think it's called True Lock. True Lock. So here's what I'm going to do. Because I don't want to cover up those screws, we're going to put one long strip down the center. Let me grab some long scissors. And then what I do is I flip it around. I lock it. Oh, there it is. Dual lock. So it's called dual lock. And this stuff really is strong. Plenty strong for this. So that's going to go right there. We're going to go ahead and peel one side. Let me clean this off with alcohol. Just because we want that good bond. So what I'll do is put some alcohol on this. We're going to clean this off because I don't know what kind of oils were used to preserve this plate. And we're going to take the bottom of our castle. We're going to do the same thing. Make sure it's nice and clean. That's going to give us a really good surface, clean surface to connect it to. So now that we got that clean, make sure that it is dry. It takes seconds. Peel one side, and I'm going to start in the center so that I can get to the bolts on both sides. That's leaving me room on both sides to get to that easily. I can get to it there, 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 and there. Now, that's still not enough for me. So I'm going to take a quick little short measurement. And that's going to go there. And we're going to go here. All right. All right. So I'm going to click that, lock it into itself, and I mount down a lot of stuff with this on RCs, especially when I'm testing, because I can always transfer it to other RCs. Honestly, quick and easy. Same thing with my GPSs. I use this to secure my GPSs in there. So I'm going to put a strip there. And I'm going to put a strip there. So I'll show you how I do this because it is hanging off and I don't want it to hang off. Lock this into itself. Then we're going to trim it up like that. This is going to go right here. So I'm going to cut this in half. So many uses for this stuff. Don't throw this stuff away. We can mount the switch down with that. Perfect. And I'll be able to pick up the ESC once I lock this thing in. So now that I've got all that in there, we're done with the true lock or the dual lock. One of these days I'm going to call it the right name. So I'm going to peel the tops of all of these because now it's acting like double-sided tape. Not only that, it gives a cushion to the ESC. If you're mounting it flat on a chassis or something, it actually cushions it from impact, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to take all the wires and hold them, and then we're going to lock this thing in. There we go. We are locked. Locked and loaded. So this sensor wire is going to come back to this sensor back here. These wires are going to go into our receiver box, which I probably shouldn't have put the lid on. So let's do that right now. I should have left that lid open. So there we go. And then down at the base, remember we put that little plastic thing back in. That's going to hold our wires. Whoa. So I'm going to lock these into that so they don't move. Now I put both these wires in this box, even though we don't need them both in there. You actually only need one in there. But I end up putting both in there. There we go, got my wires locked in. Now, I believe the one with the white wire is the one that plugs in to our port, if I remember. What color were the wires? Orange, black, and brown. No. I think the white wire is our programming one, or our data one, or so that. And then I'm going to slip this into the rubber seal. Perfect. I'm going to pull these wires out. This is going to go in the number 2 port. And then with that locked in, and these tucked in, this box is going to get really tight here in a minute. So I'm going to twist this up, stuffing that in there. I'm going to take our extra one and roll it up in there as well, just so it's up out of the way and I have access to it when I need it to hook up the castle link. Once that's all done, put the lid back on. And if it's the wrong wire, it won't bind. So I end up switching to the other wire. I can't remember at this time which one's which. But there we go. Where is my X-Acto knife? So, my X-Acto knife. So I got excess hanging out here. And I don't want dirt sticking to it. So I'm going to trim away what I don't need. Just like that, so the sticky part is not up. Just like that. And there we go. As you see, that is not coming off. That's how well this Velcro works. And when I want it off, I'll just twist it to the side and then I can get to my bolts. So that leaves us our switch. Now, remember, I peeled off this excess here. So I'm going to end up putting my switch right here. Right in here. So all I'm going to do is take some Sherlock, which I can probably just use the piece that I cut off. For my switch. Don't cut the wires. And then I'm going to just mount that right in there. And now I've got my on and off switch secured. There we go. Nice and simple. Grab a zippy tie, like RC Guy Garage says. And zippy tie all this together so it's nice and clean. And there we go. ESC is mounted. Thanks to Driftomaniacs, we have a nice ESC plate and the body fits right back on. And that's the nice thing about supporting fellow builders. So as you see, you can see the ESC right in the back window. It's not touching the fan. There is a little bit of room around it. We got room on the body. So I'd call that a win. So there we go, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll leave the link in the description to Driftomaniacs ESC mount for the XLX2. I think it's pretty cool. Something takes minutes to mount up your ESC and cleans it up, makes it look nice. So there we go. Nice and high. We're using space. It's not that heavy. Motors and batteries are going to be down low. So there we go, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. We will see you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.